I want to talk to you a little bit about 2018 some more. I've been putting out some little short video clips on Facebook right now about what I see coming, mainly to prepare, because this is what I've noticed, and I don't fault anybody. This is just what I've noticed, that many people are picking up on the good stuff of 2018 and prophesying and putting out the videos and all of these things. But there's very, very few that are telling us the why behind it. What is God saying about the why, the purpose, and all of that? And so, because God spoke to me very clearly, and I can't tell you how it's been pressed upon me. I mean, even right now as I stand here, I have this impression in me strong that even though 2018 is going to be a phenomenal year of blessing for each and every one of us, and as a matter of fact, Christina shouted it out last week, purpose. Every blessing is going to have purpose attached to it. We have to find the purpose. And it doesn't mean you can't enjoy the blessings of the Lord. Go on vacation, go to Disneyland, buy me a car, those types of things. But no matter what it is, there's got to be a purpose attached to it. Even if you go to Disneyland or any other amusement park, what's the purpose? Just have fun. Don't just stop there. What's the deeper purpose for you going there? Enjoy it. Have fun. But attach purpose to absolutely everything in 2018. What is the end goal? What is the end result? What do you want to accomplish in doing it? Well, I'm just Disneyland. I want to have fun. Okay, that's a good thing. That's fine. I want to get closer to my spouse. That's even better. I want to get closer to my children. That's even better. I want us to have memories that will last a lifetime. That's better. So you attached purpose to Disneyland. You see what I'm saying? And if you can do that with Disneyland, you can certainly do that. And I keep hearing this like in my spirit. And it goes back to the Dave Ramsey stuff about how every dollar has to have a name. Every dollar has to have a name in 2018. I'm not saying don't spend. I'm not saying don't enjoy what God gives you. But every dollar has to have a name. In other words, you should know where every dollar went and why it went there. Okay? In other words, 2018 is the year we don't talk about it, but we start making our money work for us instead of working for money. It's not even about 2018. It's not about just getting at this point next year and go, oh, 2018 was a great year. Let's see what 2019 has in store for us. I'm telling you, 2019 will be the year that we sustain and steward what 2018 brings to really get us into 2020. It's all about what God's doing in 2020 and beyond. These 3 years are setting us up for the beyond, 2020, late 2020, 2021, and beyond. A lot of people say, oh, everything's going to hell in a handbasket. I'm telling you, this year you're going to see the nations change. Well, as a matter of fact, let me just read some notes that I threw down here so I wouldn't forget. We will see overwhelming blessing and prosperity in these areas this year, 2018. Relationships, that's marriage, family, friendships, co-workers, bosses, all of that. Your relationships are going to a whole nother level because God's teaching you how to cut people off that don't need to be there and how to fully embrace and bring in those who need to be there. Okay? And husbands, that means your wife needs to be there. You can't cut her off, okay? Okay, health. This is the year that many people are going to experience healing, but God's not just going to bring healing to a situation. He's going to bring wisdom and understanding, divine health, how to stay healed. This is a year that many of you, really, actually, everyone in this room, I'm just going to tell you this right now, and this is by the Spirit of the Lord. Don't get mad at me. Go talk to God about it if you get mad. You're going to change your eating habits or you're in sin. I'll tell you why. Because God's taking very seriously what belongs to Him. And He doesn't want, this body doesn't belong to me. Your body doesn't belong to you. You think it does, but it doesn't. It's God's. He's just allowing you to steward it. And if you're all out of shape and putting garbage into it, you're not stewarding what belongs to Him very well. And when He comes to answer, and when He comes to call on it, and you go, here you go, God. I'm yours. He ain't going to be very happy. Have you ever loaned something to somebody and they brought it back tore up? How do you feel? You feel like shoving it up their nose, right? Turning it over and beating them with it, you know? That's the way God sometimes feels when I'm going to present myself to the Lord. God's going, go brush your teeth. No, go brush my teeth in your mouth. Because it all belongs to him. So health, healing, divine supernatural flow. And let me tell you something. If you're putting garbage in, God's not happy with that. And this is what I don't understand, okay? And I've seen this more times than I care to even think. Somebody gets sick. Seriously sick. And I say, this is where you need to cut out all the junk. Quit putting poison in your body. Start putting healthy stuff in your body. I said, go talk to Dr. Emmerd. Basically doing it God's way. And I point people in that direction and they get indignant with me. Or treat it like it's lesser. Like God's way is lesser than what their stupid doctor says. I know this makes a lot of people mad, but I don't know why doing things God's way makes Christians mad. Why is that? Is our brain so into the world and into the demonic and into the darkness that we would rather have that than God's way? Where was I? I'm talking about blessing. It really is, but a lot of people will miss it still and still sit there angry at me for bringing up that it's God's way. Anyways. Business and jobs, new contracts. I thought of you when God was, Carlos, when God was sharing this with me. New contracts, better contracts. Where was I last? Oh, new businesses. Some of you this year are going to start some businesses or get involved in new businesses and better contracts. Oh, I have new contracts and better contracts. I like that, both of them. Investments. Some of you who have never invested before are going to start investing. Some of you who already have investments, your investments are going to take off. Some of you who have investments that haven't been doing good, God's going to give you some wisdom on where to shift your investment so it will take off. Real estate. Some of you who have never really dabbled in real estate too much other than owning a home, this year are going to start buying land and buying real estate. Okay? Because God says this is the year of an investment. Why? We're preparing for 2020 and beyond. Okay, everything that you basically see happen to Abraham, how he came in and took the land, the choice of the land, and God prospered him and he grew. The whole reason why Lot ended up in Sodom and Gomorrah area is because Lot was attached to Abraham. God was blessing Abraham so much that the overflow went to Lot, and he blessed Lot as well, as long as they were together. The land could not contain all of their livestock. So Abraham said, listen, my shepherds are fighting with your shepherds, yours with mine. The land can't contain us because we're so blessed. You choose, and I'll give you the best. So Lot went off to Sodom and Gomorrah, and you know the rest of that story. And Abraham continued to prosper. So God's this is the year of Abraham. This is like Abraham. We're going to prosper this year, but it's not just for this year. It's not just so at the end of this year you have a new house, a new car, new clothes. And I'm not saying don't do that. I'm saying everything with a purpose. Think like Abraham. Think Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, 12 tribes. Think of the future. Think of setting up an inheritance for your future. Okay, so business, adventures, all that good stuff, business and jobs and all that good stuff, investments. Ministry and church growth. This is the year that but churches are going to grow. This church is going to grow. Greater anointing and authority, expansion, more opportunities, not just here locally, but in the world. Yeah, divine alignments. This is the year for true divine alignments and alliances. We will see nations. We will see God blessing nations in these areas and others, and I don't have time to get into all the details of it, but new resources. You're going to find nations that were poor and struggling. They're going to find ways, either in their own territory, in their own land, to pull out resources, or through connections, they're going to get new resources to build their nations internally. Stronger and healthier alliances, nation to nation. Nations coming out of poverty. A lot of these nations that we say are third world countries and lots of poverty are going to start growing this year. It's not going to just be this year again. It's going to continue, but they're going to really start growing this year in a powerful way. Corruption, and you guys have been seeing this all over the news, but all over the world, corruption is being exposed and is going to be exposed big time in 2018 this year. Skirmishes. Now, I kept kind of fussing with this because I'm thinking, Lord, you're bringing wars to an end. He's just kept saying skirmishes will come to an end. Skirmishes. So look up that word, figure it out. Enemies will be meeting at the table of peace. Enemies are just going to come together and start talking peace. I mean, real peace, not this fake, false stuff just to get American money anymore. They're going to come and really talk true peace. Nations that were closed off will suddenly be opened. This is what's happening in China. You watch. You're going to hear about China trying to put the grip on the church. Don't fret. Keep praying and keep declaring. But 2020 is your year, China, when the gospel is going to be preached in the stadiums. Europe is being prepped for another awakening. I know people thought that Europe has been lost to Islam, and in the natural it really has. But God's about to move in Europe because there's people crying out in Europe, and they're going to have an awakening that's going to shift the tide. It's not going to push Muslims out. It's going to get them radically saved. Russia is being prepped to explode with the power of God and an intense love for Jesus. There's something that's happening internally in Russia that suddenly, even from the top all the way down, an intense love for Jesus is going to hit that place, and they're going to change internally. Israel is being propped up and set up in a high place for the nations of the earth to see her true blessing and wealth. And this is what the Lord spoke to me. He says, Israel is about to become a praise in the earth. And I knew that was scriptural, but I found it in Isaiah 62:7, and it actually says Jerusalem is a praise in the earth, or is to be a praise in the earth. That's what Isaiah 62:7. So Isaiah 62:7 is going to be fulfilled in 2018 and beyond, and I believe very strongly had much to do with what Trump did with declaring Jerusalem the capital of Israel and moving our what do they call it, embassy into Jerusalem and out of Tel Aviv. And now 10 nations have jumped on board and say, we agree, we're doing the same thing. New alliances, table of peace, God is moving. Listen, guys, and I know I've said this before, but it bears reminder. Don't look at the size of our church and think that we're not doing things on a national scale. Well, you're too small to do it. You know, David was one dude hanging out with some sheep, not even important enough from his father to be invited to the party, yet he was crowned king of Israel. But my point is, God is opening the doors for us, and we have to run through. We have to be part of what God is doing. If God speaks to us about a situation, whether it be local or international, it's wise to put yourself in the middle of what God is doing. So if God's saying, I'm moving in the nations of the earth, like when he prophesied, by 2020, they're going to be leading marches in the street and having crusades in the... and I'm going to be in one of those crusades preaching to Chinese people. But crusades in their stadiums, let me tell you, it's wise, one, to first start praying about it. Number one, if that's all you do, pray. Secondly, and almost as important as praying about it, prayer is always number one, sowing financially into it. That's a key that Christians need to get. It's the same principle. If you give a prophet a cup of water, you reap a prophet's reward. You sow what you sow into you reap from that. All right? Where was I? And thirdly, and not everybody's able to do this, you get on a plane and you go.